Hey, Caanan, what's on your mind?
Um, the Agency. I don't know if you guys are watching The Agency because I feel like nobody's watching it because I don't even know.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't seen any marketing for it, and now it's in season 2.
Yeah.
Um,
First of all, I want to say, whew, as I wipe my brow, because when I asked that question and there was the long, pregnant sigh, I thought, oh no, is this the week he discloses something deep and crazy? So
didn't I just do that? Watching The Agency, is that not deep and crazy enough for you?
Tell me more, though, because I have the same thought. We just came off a binge, which is, I know where this is coming from. And I know we talked about it like, wait, why aren't we seeing this unless?
That's the gag. I mean, it's incredible. It's tight. It's tense. The acting is amazing. Michael Fassbender. I'm giving drag queen claps if you can hear them. It's amazing. And it's just right in the pocket for us. We love those like CIA procedurals. But I don't understand why this isn't on everybody's lists and why. I mean, I don't even know how I heard about it.
A year ago. Good
so.
reco. I love that because it really is like the best of the best. It's smart. It's multifaceted. It's thrilling. It's intriguing.
Yeah.
It's mysterious. But at the same time, and I think this is really important, it's completely accessible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So there you have it. Now you're hearing it from us. It's word of mouth. Go get into The Agency.
And now it's on my mind. Okay, series after series. Is that what we call a 4-pack of our podcast?
Sure.
A little.
Why not? Series.
A theme. A little theme within a season.
Yeah.
So we just started season 3 with a pack of podcasts on fulfillment. So go check those out because it's at the base of, what we think is building a no vacation required life. But I'm super excited to talk about personality as this 4-pack because, and we've just been talking about this. Actually, we've been talking about this for the last 3 days. This is sort of our what, magic sauce, do we say? This is the thing that I know, as we say in a little promo piece and we now say on the website, this is what we've learned is at the core of so many things. And on a run earlier, I was trying to, in my mind, you don't even know this, I was trying to, in my mind, figure out how to explain this to people. So we go into a consulting project we're doing, or a personal development project we're doing, or we're helping friends, and it looks like the problem is about blank, blank, or blank.
Yeah.
But in fact, we slowly realize oh, this is just a problem because person A does not understand their own personality and does not understand the personality of person B, or, group A doesn't understand the personalities involved in group B and their own personalities.
Yeah.
So many things come down to a personality issue.
Really, I was just going to jump in here and say last month was about fulfillment. The last series was about fulfillment. This is about personality. That's because fulfillment is the why and personality is the how. I mean, that's really at the base of everything we talk about.
I think we're going to do a first ever, listeners. We're going to do a on-air high five. Louder. Yeah, we did not talk about that. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come to us because you want more fulfillment in your life, and now we're telling you personality is the way to do that.
Yeah.
Essentially, know yourself, personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think of like a client coming to us and saying, we want you to give us cough syrup for this cough. And then we realize oh, they really have bronchitis. So we kind of have to play along and do the cough syrup thing when in fact we're dealing with a much more foundational, deeper thing.
Yes.
Okay. Please stop me before I get too far afield.
No, that's great. So this week in this series on personality, we're going to tackle introversion versus extroversion, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty fundamental. And if you know something about personality, you probably know or have brushed up against introversion versus extroversion. So it's a good place to start. But you may have some ideas about it. I suspect you have some ideas that are in fact wrong.
Yeah.
And that'll be fun to talk about.
Well, speaking of that, I love your story about how so many people get this wrong.
Yeah.
Even in themselves, not to mention other people.
Yeah. So I'm going to bare my soul here and tell you how wrong I had introversion versus extroversion earlier in our life, in our time together.
Go off.
So it's kind of weird. We've been together over 28 years. So it's weird to talk about like boyfriends before our being together, but I have to bring it up because it's relevant. So before you and I met, Kent, I had a boyfriend who said something to me. You know how you have these things where people come into your life. Oh, now I'm going to sing Wicked. But people come into your life and they'll say just random things or little things or things come up that stick with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
One of these things that stuck with me, this boyfriend I had in college essentially, said, I don't understand, Caanan, how you can be so fun and free and like the life of the party when we're out with friends. And then we get home and you're super quiet and you kind of ignore me and it makes me feel like you don't like me.
Yeah.
Which was not the truth at all. At the time, I thought I loved this guy. I was really happy to be with him. And I couldn't understand myself why that was the case. Fast forward to where we're learning about personality, and I realized that I had this understanding of myself that was completely incorrect. I believed I was an extrovert.
Yeah.
I believed I was an extrovert for lots of reasons. Some of it related to childhood trauma, some of it related to just how I thought I was supposed to perform in the world. That might sound familiar to a lot of you. So I believed I was an extrovert, but it was exhausting to me to be an extrovert.
Yeah.
So we'd go out, I'd do my thing, I'd do my dog and pony show, and then I just couldn't sustain it in the quieter periods of my life.
Yeah.
Quieter times.
I want to say, jump in here real quick and say, you are so right. It's so funny how we'll remember certain things, and I'll do this with you. And it's like, wait, why are you remembering that? Yeah. That has happened 85 times since then, but there's always that thing that you remember. Or I think in this case, when you make a connection, your brain kind of connects these wires that take you back to the earliest. And I think that might have been the earliest.
I think so, yeah.
Because you had childhood trauma, and there's so much you don't remember about childhood that getting into your early formative years, that was maybe a burst. So you have this realization in our relationship, but it takes you back to dating that guy and that moment. So I so get that. And I think a lot of people can relate to that because in a way you're kind of trying to answer questions that you felt dis-ease about way back when, and you make a connection and it's like ding, 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 ding.
You have your whole memento moment, end of the movie montage. But yeah, so fast forward to our relationship, you and I's relationship, Kent, and we have a healthier relationship. I'm older. We're discussing personality and values and all these things that are so pertinent and fundamental to our healthy relationship. And I learn through the work we do together and the work I do on my own that I am in fact an introvert. I understand this because I now understand my personality type.
Yes.
And that was such a profound relief to me because, like you just said, now I could look back and I could see how I had always been an introvert, and just tons of proof of that throughout my entire childhood and teenage years.
In the business, we call that a screaming introvert.
Yeah, and I am a screaming, raging introvert. I'm about as introvert as one can be. But the world expected me to perform as an extrovert. Things in my life made it safer for me to perform as an extrovert. And that's just who I thought I was. And it was exhausting.
In everything we've done in our personal lives and as sought after business and career development consultants, we've learned one consistent thing. Most people just don't know themselves. NoVacationRequired.com is where we talk about how you too can build a life that you don't need a break from, and how it all starts with knowing yourself. There you'll find all of our podcast episodes, information on services, and the scoop on us. And to really raise the bar, we model this as a couple to show that a relationship doesn't have to be a compromise or a counterproductive union. When two people are each doing their own work, the heightened connection becomes a shortcut to building a no vacation required life. So personality, of course, we've talked about it a lot in our previous seasons of the podcast because it's the basis, as we've said, of so much of the work we've done. And now here in season 3, where we're just stripping away all of the stuff and getting down to these very foundational things that help people,
right,
that helped you and I build a no vacation required life. And by the way, when we use that term, that's how we look at even the consulting work we did with groups and individuals. Everything we did was in the interest of helping teams and the individuals on those teams and individuals and us build a life we don't need a break from. We never looked at, whatever problem we were immersed in with a person or a group, immersed in helping them solve, as really being about that. We wanted to help them with that.
Right.
But our larger goal, yeah, this is resonant with Caanan. He's nodding. Our larger goal was always like, let's give these people actually something more foundational that will help them going forward. And this goes back to that quandary I was speaking of that I had on a run earlier. Like, how do I describe that it appeared we were doing one thing, but pretty quickly we knew that so much of what we were doing came back to giving people the tools about personality.
Yes, because we've always known and
yes,
come to just make it part of the foundation of the work we do, that it's about A, but it's also not about A. It's about your life. So whatever you're coming up with, work-related, relationships, whatever, it's about that, and it's about your life. So we've always tried to focus on the bigger life picture, because that's what people really need.
Yes, and oftentimes they don't know it at the time, and that they loop back around later and they tell us, that's exactly what I need. So something we've never done, and we're so excited to do, because our intention now and the focus of this season is on those tools that really help you, or much more cohesive in what we talk about on the podcast and what we talk about on our website and the services we offer. We're actually going to break down personality a bit, because we have, for example, 2 key services: Type Finder, which is introduction to personality, and You Finder, which is this deep dive into personality. And we've had iterations of our You Finder product through probably 15 years of our business, but we have stripped that down to the ground and have rebuilt it to support this legacy version of Caanan. So the bones in particular of You Finder, this really deep product, are centered on the specifics of personality. And just to give you this brief overview, we've got 4 pairings that you might be familiar with if you're familiar with the MBTI. We've got EI, which we're talking about today, Extroversion and Introversion, JP, which we're going to get into, SN will be week 3, and then TF will be week 4. So EI, Extroversion and Introversion, and JP, which we'll talk about next week, which are labeled as judging and perceiving. Those are terrible words. But we'll get into all that next week. Those are what are called structural keys in the way that we unlock someone's personality. So they're not huge components of someone's personality, but they are huge components in telling you how someone's personality works. So what we're talking about this week, extroversion versus introversion, is known as a structural key that helps you unlock the orientation, to communicate it simply, of your personality. So here's this thing that Caanan's talking about. Misidentifying as an extrovert, because it's what you're supposed to be as a man, because of childhood experiences he had, because of how he thought he had to show up in the world. That mistake is structuring how his personality works. So it's a lot deeper than just, am I an extrovert or an introvert? We always kind of laugh because a lot of people think they know personality because they know about introversion and extroversion, and they place way too much emphasis on it.
Yes.
Because it really isn't even a facet of how your personality shows up in full out in the world, but it's also very critical because it impacts every facet of your personality. It gives clues as to what parts of your personality are introverted and what parts are extroverted, because, as I'm sure you know by now, not all elements of you are either introverted or extroverted. So yeah, using these terms like I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. Well, yes, you're more one or the other, but it doesn't mean, as so many people get defensive about, like, it doesn't mean I can't relate to people, or it doesn't mean I can't be alone. You are a very unique combination of introversion and extroversion.
Right.
You just have a preference for one. So key thing number one from this week is introversion, extroversion is a structural key. This will all make more sense as we get through this series of 4 episodes. But yeah, what does introversion, extroversion mean? And what does it mean when, as Caanan, you were saying, you're misidentifying or you're spending too much time living outside of your preference?
Yeah.
And I think so much in terms of us as a couple of when we were in our growth stage and we were just doing a lot of things that required extroverted behavior in a lot of ways, a lot of people-facing things, public-facing things, a lot of traveling, a lot of being away from a stable, consistent home base.
Yeah, because you and I, Kent, are the same type. We're both introverts, and we're both raging introverts, or whatever you said, screaming introverts. We're very introverted, and our life at the time, as we've talked about on this podcast, being travel bloggers and doing the work we were doing at the time, which was more intense than it is now, our life was not type aligned.
Yeah.
Our
public-facing life was not type aligned.
No, we were trying to make it type aligned, but we were saying yes to all the great things that were coming at us, and all of those things came with a great deal of necessary extroversion that didn't leave enough time for us, and here's a key word, to recharge in the way that we do as introverts. We couldn't pause long enough to make those periods of extroversion okay, which is why we essentially walked away from so much of it. Thanks for listening. We'd be honored if you'd subscribe, like, and share. It means the world to us.
So this is where I want to go with that, exactly there, kind of as we're taking this deeper look into personality and these 4 pairings. There is no better place, and this is why we chose to start with extroversion and introversion, no better place to talk about how you are both sides, to some degree, of all of these 4 pairings.
Right.
And Caanan, as you got into doing exactly what we had to do, because in that period, we also knew our personality types. So then doing what we had to do is what teaches you to modulate. We knew that as introverts, we needed a lot of time to recharge in ways that are preferable for introverts to recharge. And you walked into the kind of a final point that I wanted to make when you said, we realized it just wasn't that sustainable. Realizing that you do have this overriding preference, right?
Yeah.
And after a decade plus, probably nearly 2 decades of really finessing that so well, because we knew our personalities, we could take care of ourselves, take care of our relationship, and show up the way we needed to show up in the world, for clients, for loved ones, for the work we were doing. But at the end of the day, you have a preference. So now that we're not in growth stage, we are able to accommodate that preference more. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on this, Caanan. The knowledge of personality, knowing the power, particularly of knowing your EI orientation.
Yes.
This is the knowledge we're talking about. Our having this knowledge allowed us to move through life, big moments, small moments, everything that encompasses a day, a week, a month, a life, with that knowledge. We may have been out of ideal preference at a time, but you then know that that's why you have this feeling of dissonance. You're not just kind of out there wondering.
Preach, Kent, because this is what was coming to me, so I'm glad you brought this up. If we had not known that we were introverts going into this growth phase of our life and doing all of the things that came with it, all the things we said yes to, because it was a great period. We're saying yes to everything. We're extroverting like crazy because it's what was demanded of us. If we had not known that we were introverts and that our life was not aligned with our type, we would have thought we were the problem, not the way we had structured our life.
Yeah.
And we would have felt terrible about it.
Yeah.
But we could, because we knew we were introverts, we could look at how we had structured our life and say, okay, we got a little far afield here. We're doing too much. This is too much extroversion. So we've got to dial it back.
Perfect.
But we had to know ourselves in order to make those structural changes. Like I said, otherwise we would have looked at our life, which was perfect from the outside and ideal in many ways for many people, but wasn't ideal based on our type.
Yeah.
We would have blamed ourselves. We would have thought we were a problem, not the structure of our life.
So there's so much power in knowing who you are, as we're always saying. I kind of laugh every time I say that because I'm like, I say that all the time.
You have to. It's so true.
But at this point, Caanan, with what you so beautifully put, you start to understand where we opened, how we meet clients, where they're at when we meet them. So somebody on a work group is feeling like a total flailing failure who doesn't fit in, who can't fit in with the group,
Yeah.
Again, we're solving that problem, but we're realizing, oh, it's because Jane is an introvert and Michael, Sarah, Jimmy, and Rodrigo are all extroverts. But they think we're solving a problem about why Jane can't fit in and why she can't keep up and all of this stuff. So yes, it's then about having that knowledge, as we did and do, and trying to transfer that knowledge to our clients or loved ones or whoever while we're still working on what they think we're working on.
Yes.
Right? Because Jane knowing, Caanan knowing, Kent knowing you're an introvert or you're a whatever answers so many questions about things you thought were problems.
Yes.
And as we famously said in a podcast in season 1, it's personality, not... Okay, now I can't even remember what I'm
It's
claiming.
personality, not personal.
Yes, it's personality, not personal. There's no real problem here. And there is certainly, and I can't emphasize this enough, we should create a new intra podcast ad for this. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just knowing you.
Yeah.
Jane didn't have a flaw. She didn't need to leave the company because she clearly can't do the job. No, Jane just needed to know herself, as the other team members needed to know themselves and how they needed to know each other. It is not personal so much as personality. Okay, Caanan, what's in the mailbag this week?
In the digital mailbag. We actually got this a while ago, but it's so representative of a question we get all the time. This person wrote us, and I'll just boil it down to them saying, I've heard your personality changes over time. Is that true?
I love this question, yeah.
It's so perfect for what we're kicking off with this series.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I think it's sort of it can often be a pessimistic view that people bring, like, yeah, but why would I do that? Because my personality changes and I can't capture my personality every time it changes. But
right.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear your take on this for podcast listeners.
Yeah, so the answer I'm going to give is yes, but your personality it may change over time, but our take and the take of people who focus on personality is that you really are just becoming more of who you are. If things are going well for you, if things are going right, you're moving closer to your authentic personality as you age and get wiser and have more lived experience. So the answer is yes, your personality does change, but fundamentally the answer is no, because you're just moving closer to who you are. Would you agree with that statement?
I mean, I think that's perfectly put. And I love that you did that little carve out, that carve out's very personal to each of us in a way we'll get into another time. But yeah, if you're going through a rough time or having realizations about a rough time, yes, your personality can, what we call kind of temporarily regress into a personality that is, as psychology experts would say, protects you during that time. So yeah, there's carve-outs, but when you're able to be your truest, most authentic self, changes represent you moving closer to your truest personality.